Hey guys, welcome back to our second episode of Face Value Theology. And we actually want to continue the thought that we had last time of how do we dedicate our time to the priorities that we have in our life.
Mm,
And we kind of ended up last episode. So quick recap. We talked about our foundation of time is found in studying God's word, spending time with him,
mhm,
because it is our reasonable service when we think about what Christ did for us on the
correct.
cross.
Simply put, our time is not ours; it's God's.
Yeah,
So
because
let's
he
use it for God.
Yeah, because he bought us.
Mhm.
And then following that, we talked about the kind of the concentric circles of our priorities, our close relationships, uh, you know, significant others, family, church.
Yes.
Those are the close circles, and then the circles that kind of outlie that are the calling that God has given us, whether that's work, ministry, ministry and church. They would go hand in hand,
Mhm.
but the work side of ministry would
Right.
still
Your
need to be kind
occupation.
of the next, like that outer circle.
Mhm.
So we briefly talked about that, and we ended out last episode talking about a few examples, personal examples or general examples of how we dedicate our time. So we just kind of want to continue that thought of time priorities, what that looks like. And I know for me, I'll just start this out with an example. The biggest thing that I fight is homework, and this might not
every
be. This
every
might not
college
be.
student's worst enemy.
Yeah,
It's not stairs; it's homework.
right. This might not still be a topic that a lot of people think about anymore. If you guys have graduated, so I'm sorry if I'm bringing up bad memories, but
So
most of us, I feel, are probably still
some
in this boat.
PTSD from prior years.
Yeah, because right now in this position, my minor is in graphic design, and a lot of times we have projects that kind of span,
Mm.
2-3 weeks, and they're bigger projects. But when you see a due date that's 2.5 weeks away, you're like,
Ah,
I
I got
have time,
time.
it's
Yeah.
fine. And I say that while I'm sitting there goofing around doing whatever it is. And I find myself so often. I've gotten better about not cramming to the last second, but I find myself having to work more rushed than I need to.
Right.
And it just kind of goes back to that philosophy of I have the time now. I know that I should be working on this. Teachers don't give you 2 weeks to work on an assignment that would
Mm.
just take an hour. And that would kind of be my most relevant example of how I dedicate my time right
Yeah.
now is I'm sitting there goofing around, hanging out with people when I know for a fact that I should be studying or working on schoolwork right now. And I would say most of the time I would make the argument that it's not a fact that we don't know what we should be dedicating our priorities to. It's the fact that we choose not to
Mm.
dedicate that time to it, if that makes
Man,
sense.
that's so truthful. And I mean that can go to simply two simple words. It's that life happens.
Yeah.
Life happens as you're sitting there to say, "Man, I can get that done later." Well, something later on, something may happen.
Hmm.
Personal example. This past summer, I got to serve again at a youth camp. Camp ended. We were wrapping up things with camp the very next day. So let's say camp ended on a Friday. Saturday morning, I get a phone call, and my grandfather had passed away on my mom's side. And at that point, it was no longer, okay, I need to get these things done with wrap up for camp, get these things put away, make sure the staff have their evaluations completed. It was, hey, Lord, my wife and I were driving up north to be with family during this time of loss. And life happens. And you don't know when life is going to happen. You don't know what things that God has in store. And so, speaking to that, being able to put forth that effort initially, being able to say, okay, recognizing things could happen, or again, you don't even know what's happened. You want to be productive with the time you have now. As you said, Alex,
Hmm.
it's like, I have the time now. I can use the time now, and I should be using it for God. Because
Yeah.
again, it's not my time, it's God's time. Lord, how should I use my time right now, using it for those priorities? That's so good. I think another thing, as we're thinking more about these practical ways of, okay, how do I dedicate my time to these priorities? One thought would be to see time as a currency and have a budget.
Yeah.
See time as a currency and have a budget. Alex and I, we have talked about this at length before of how time is truly it can be a currency.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is we're either spending it on ourselves, and if we're spending it on ourselves, not towards God, then ultimately Satan's saying, "Hey, you're not. I can just get your minutes away, your time away from serving God, from doing what you're supposed to be doing. Man, we're just serving ourselves. We're not spending the time according as what we should be doing." So
Yeah.
for us, it's okay. Let's literally make a budget. Dave Ramsey, he is a big proponent of make your money behave. Set a budget, make your money behave. For
Mm.
us, we need to have a schedule, set up a schedule, and make our time behave.
Yeah.
Make every minute count, make every hour. Now, I'm not saying, for 4 minutes and 52 seconds, here is what I'm going to do to serve my Lord Jesus. No, 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 you don't. Not down to the second, we're saying, but have a general idea to say, okay, here is the time set aside. I'm going to use this time for this obligation. I'm going to use this time for my family. I'm going to spend this time with my kids. I'm going to spend this time with those close to me, and having a budget for that time. It's laying out that schedule of what you'd like to accomplish, things that are reasonable, things that are feasible, and seeking to accomplish that, of
Yeah.
working through that schedule.
Yeah. I believe I should look this up, but I'm just gonna go off of memory.
Oh,
I
here we
think
go.
it's 186,000 seconds in a day. So an analogy that I actually heard from a Bible class in high school was this: if I gave you $186,000 in a
Mm,
day, and I gave it to you every single day, but at the end of the day, you lost any bit that you didn't spend, you would want to spend every bit of that $186,000, right?
mm.
Like that just makes sense. And
86,400. I'm sorry. Double checking your math
all
there, but
right,
you're
sounds good.
close.
I tripled that number. No, doubled. It wasn't too off.
It's still a lot.
86,400.
Yeah, yeah,
Still a lot of money.
yeah.
You could buy a couple cars with that.
Exactly.
Anyways, so continuing on with the analogy. Um, so you say I have $86,400 in a day. I would want to spend every bit of that I could, and I get that every single day. But if at the end of that day, at midnight, all of that money goes away and my account resets,
Mm,
I would want to be able to spend that money. People that have a lot of money, and this has been recorded so many times, people that are incredibly wealthy and have gained a lot of money, that is their life's goal. At the end of their life, so many of them say, this was worthless.
yeah.
Like I've gotten all of
Vanity
this, and
from the words of Solomon, vanity is vanity, all is vanity. You're
yeah.
saying like I have all this stuff. Now what?
But what is the point?
Yeah.
I would so much rather have dedicated my time to things that matter than dedicate to the things that will elevate me.
Mm,
And our example is Christ, you know? We are called as believers to be more like Christ. That is the whole term of Christian,
mm,
little Christ. And if our goal is to be like Christ, he literally didn't even have a pillow for his head. Like he says, these all of these animals, they have burrows, they have nests, but the
right.
Son of Man hath not a place to lay his head, because he did so much. In John it says, I think it's Matthew. He says, "Yeah, we've recorded all this, but there was no way that the amount of paper on this
Mm.
earth could record all
Believe
that
it. Believe
Christ
it's
did."
John. John 21.
Is it John?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that blows my mind, because we have four gospels. A lot of the stories do intertwine, but there are still like a lot of differences between the stories.
Mm,
And that in and of itself is a lot to accomplish.
that's right.
And to think about the fact that he only ministered for 3 years.
Mm,
It is quite mind-blowing to me, the fact that Christ gave every single waking moment to loving and serving.
mm,
And if Christ is my objective to
yeah.
become more like, then I need to be able to use that time, that currency, to spend it on things that are
Mhm.
eternally beneficial.
That's so true. And his example for us, again, it's not impossible. You think about
Yeah.
the story of, again, what did Christ do? He sent his disciples out into the boat saying, "Hey, I'll meet you on the other side." Or I'm thinking, get my parables mixed up, my stories. There's a time when they are in the storm. And what is he doing? Man, he's taking a nap. He is in the boat. Why? Because he's doing all of this stuff, and at times he as well needs rest.
Yeah,
As you
absolutely.
as you too have seen on the t-shirt, Jesus takes naps. So we're not saying, man, I need to spend every every single moment doing this and doing
Yeah,
that. No,
absolutely.
God recognizes Christ was human.
Yeah.
We have his example of there are times to rest. We're actually going to talk about rest here, one of our future topics, but there are times to rest. There are
Mhm.
times to say, okay, Lord, here is a time of intensity where whether it's my occupation, whether it's my ministry, whether it's with my family, here are things I need to do. But then at other times, maybe God's giving you, he brought you through a trial, he brought you through a storm, and now you're on the other side of that and you can, it's that audible breath. It's that, okay, Lord, we made it through. Now is a time of rest. Now is a time of recoup, getting back into your word, getting refreshed. That's a good word. Getting refreshed
Yeah.
in that um for that. And even as we think about time, um the Old Testament, we have in the Old Testament the creation account. What did God do? Create in 6 days, rest of the 7th.
Yeah.
So for us to say I'm going to work 24/7, 365, 366 on a leap year, all of those things. That's not sustainable.
Right.
It's not sustainable for us. It's not a good use of our time. God calls us to say, hey, you're going to work, provide for your family, do what your calling is. But then there are times when, okay, rest because God knows your need of rest. And
Mhm.
Christ gave us that example.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sorry, do you have something else?
Well, I was just kind of thinking, as young people, what often do we struggle with the most? And this is pretty scientifically proven.
Yeah.
It would be our phone.
Mm,
And I was actually reading up with on statistics last night, and honestly, this will kind of transition into what we talk about next, into our next episode,
mm.
via social media, but even just phone use in general.
Half of our audience just got chills down their spine. They're saying, talk about social
Yeah. No,
media.
don't worry. We're not crazy against it, but we do have some thoughts that we want to share with you guys. But we'll
Correct.
we'll talk about that
We have a
next
certain
episode.
level of crazy, but yeah,
Yeah,
continue.
of course.
Continue.
So I don't know. There are so many times that I see my roommate or I see other people. They're just sitting there scrolling on their phone,
Mm,
and sometimes it's not even on social media. It's
mhm.
just the time dedication is not where it needs to be. And I find
Yeah.
myself doing this all the time too.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if it's not on my phone, it's on some device
Right.
because it's so easy.
It's
It's
so
it
easy.
is
It
a
really
it is
is.
a portal into everything that has ever been created
Mm,
digitally. And there's such an easy waste of time,
mm.
because all I have to do is search up a couple words and I get to see some random YouTube video about a guy creating something in his garage, like an Iron Man suit in his garage, and I
Yeah.
get to watch that for hours if I wanted to, you know.
Yep.
And we will talk about more specifically social media, but I just want to give this thought to you guys. I- If you struggle with the amount of time that you spend on your phone, then you need to put up some barriers
Mm,
so before it becomes too far,
that's good.
because there are so many statistics that talk about how much time teenagers, college students, and even young adults spend on their phones, and we are to be the next generation.
Mm,
We're supposed to be the next generation of churchgoers, of leaders in
yep.
the church, and knowing myself, if I become too involved, if I become too engrossed in my phone,
Mhm.
then it just kind of just deteriorates the way I think.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple times in my life where I was spending so much time on technology that I would look up from it and think
Where has the time gone?
I have
Yep.
wasted so much time right now. And
Started scrolling and it was daylight, and then you lift your head up. Since when is it nighttime?
yeah, exactly. And again, we'll talk more about that specifically, but I would very much argue that that's the biggest thing that our age group struggles with, and
Mm,
I still struggle with that that idea of spending way too much time on our phones, specifically technology.
mm. And with our phones, I mean, we think about it. Yes, it's a time. It's something, for many of us, a large portion of our generation, even the next generation. Is it Gen Z, Alpha, Y? I'm
We are
getting
Gen Z,
lost.
and then Gen Alpha is the
You're right. I'm
yeah,
getting
the
lost in all
next
of
one.
them, honestly. The Gen, whatever you
Yes.
you fill in the blank of what letter you think they are. But many of them, yes, they're spending so much time on social media, and yet some of the, I say some, I think one of the biggest tools we can use to help ourselves is our phones. Is to say, hey, use it as a means of reminding ourselves to say, hey, take some time off. And that was my last practical tip when it comes to priorities is simply have notes and reminders. Like
Yeah.
you say, okay, we're thinking about our priorities, how to manage our time with our relationships, with our occupation, with work, with church, with ministry. Very practically speaking, on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your device, there are different apps. There are different ways that you can set reminders for yourself. And
Hmm.
so maybe for you, you have an all caps on your notepad widget on your phone that says, get off the phone. I've literally met some people that's like their top thing. And so maybe they set screen time reminders or actual apps that will lock out their certain
Yeah.
apps for X amount of time spent on those apps. So
Hmm.
you say, okay, I have this one where I'm only allowed 10 minutes a day on Instagram, or they have different reminders to where it clicks on at 8 p.m. to say, get off social media and go to bed.
Yeah.
It could be a number of things. But I think one of the things that we often don't realize is that we can use our phones for that purpose. We can use it to help us out. We don't need to be like, these phones are dangerous. I'm going back to the dark ages. If you want to reach me, here's my address, here's a letter, and here's my carrier pigeon. His name is George. He's pretty cool. No, we want to we want to listen. If I had a carrier pigeon named George, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be
But
pretty cool.
again, we can use I don't want it to seem like gloom and doom. Man, we can never use our Colton and Alex never want us to use our phones. No, we want to be mindful of it. We want to
Hmm.
prioritize our time and use the tools God has given us to best manage it. One of the tools, yes, it can be our phones, and we want to best use our phones to help manage our time in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is very interesting how I think one of the biggest things that has been taught to me by teachers is the fact that the modern technology that we have can either beat us or we can use it to beat the things that we struggle with.
That's good.
Um, this is a big topic, but specifically AI. And I know a lot of this is kind of a
Ooh.
hot topic amongst a lot of people. But the thing is that's it's becoming used now. So as especially if you're wanting to go into the business world, you're either gonna kind of learn how to use it and how to manage it, or it's just gonna start to take over other things. And I would say it's kind of the same thing with our technology. It's either gonna be a means that we get destroyed, or we can use it as a tool, the true use that it's supposed to be as a tool, just like anything else. And we can use it to help us, to benefit us, rather
Yeah,
than tear us down.
that's good.
So yeah, those we had a lot of thoughts that we wanted to continue on with this episode. So we'll keep
Yes.
it. This is still time priorities number two. But we wanted to end it with kind of a few practical tips. Now we've talked good about a bit about our phone, and we've referenced social media a little bit. So that actually ties into our next episode pretty well,
Mm,
and that is actually the topic of social media. So we will see you guys our next episode
yes.
talking about social media, and we hope you guys tune in then. See y'all.
Thank you.